So welcome everybody. It's my honor and pleasure to be able to share yoga with you this evening. Shabana just covered everything pretty much. So most importantly, like she just said, modify and adjust your practice. So if you're in a pose and it feels uncomfortable for whatever reason, don't force it or push yourself through it. Just slowly come out of the pose, take a break, modify whatever feels best for your body. So I designed this class specifically for going through the fast and accommodating our body. So hopefully these poses will increase our energy levels, help reduce fatigue, headaches, just create some peace and calm for our mind and body tonight so we can go into our Sunday evening feeling a little refreshed and rejuvenated. So let's go ahead and get started. I do have a chair and a yoga mat. I'll go over some of the props that you can incorporate. You don't need to have any of that. A yoga mat would be ideal, but if you don't have a yoga mat, you're more than welcome to practice on carpeting or a softer space in your home. For the end of class, when we get into our final relaxation, you might want to grab a pillow off of your bed. This can act as some support for underneath the legs and the knees. I have a smaller pillow here as well. So when we do come to lie on our back, if you want a support for behind the head, you can have that. We are starting the class tonight, and we'll do the same class we did last week. So if you are revisiting, you'll be a little bit more familiar with these poses. We'll start in a seated position. And sitting on the floor can be the most challenging part of our yoga practice, especially if we're not used to it. So if you have tightness around your hips or it causes discomfort in your knees, you can just simply sit at the edge of a chair. So you can sit at the edge of your sofa if you're in your living room, a lazy boy. Those of us that might be sitting in a chair, I would ask that you sit towards the front of your chair. Plant your feet firmly on the floor, resting your hands on your thighs, so that you're using your own muscles to help keep the spine nice and long. Those of us who want to sit more traditionally on the floor, I would still ask that you prop yourself up on something. So if you happen to have a yoga block, that could work. I have this firmer meditation cushion that I use. If you just have a blanket or a bath towel, you can roll that up so you have a little lift underneath your sit bones. And that will help keep your spine in this nice natural curves. One other little goodie that I have here is a washcloth. Again, we could use this at the end of our practice tonight for our final relaxation to place over the eyes. And that can really help calm the nervous system and help us relax a little bit more. But we can put those things off to the side for now. If you want to take a moment to gather anything up, feel free. So those of us are going to come down to the floor. Like I said, I'd like you to sit up on something, whether it's a folded blanket, a cushion, or a pillow. And we can take the more traditional, just cross-legged seat here. So crossing one shin in front of the other. We do want to sit up on our sit bones here, and this takes some effort to sit up nice and tall. So we're lengthening up to the front of the spine. And we want to loosen up our clothing, make our adjustments in our space. And we can just rest our hands on our knees. And go ahead and roll your shoulders up by your ears, and then let them relax down the back. So we'll start our practice with a little bit of centering, just so we can turn our attention inward and take some inventory this evening of how we're feeling physically and mentally. So once you're in your comfortable seat, float your ears over your shoulders. The shoulders are relaxing away from the ears. Sit up as tall as possible, and then we'll close the eyes. So as you soften the eyelids and turn our attention inward, we'll start to connect to the physical body here. If you feel like you need to make adjustments in your seated pose, go ahead and do so. So we're never stuck in concrete. If you need to wiggle out your legs or do anything like that, please do so. Make yourself as comfortable as possible. So again, with the eyes closed, let's start to feel our seated posture with the crown of the head lengthening upwards towards the ceiling. Start to relax all the little muscles across the face, so smoothing the skin of the forehead and the brow. All the little muscles around our eyes, they work really hard for us throughout the day, so just give them an opportunity here to rest. If you hold tension around the jaw, and you tend to clench your jaw like I do, poof your cheeks up with air, wiggle out the mouth and the tongue for a moment. And then let those muscles around the lower jaw and the throat relax. Continue to feel this lifting and lengthening up the front body, all the way up the back body, vertebra by vertebra. Feel the weight of your elbows hanging beside the body and the gentle weight of your hands on your knees. Try to soften those muscles around the hip creases and just allow the weight of your legs relaxing down towards the ground. Soften behind the knees, all the way down to the ankles, feet, and toes. So as we're moving through our body and reconnecting to our body, if we notice any areas that we might be healing or taking care of tonight, let's honor and recognize those areas. Send a gentle breath into them, whether it's shoulders, backs, hips, maybe again a little bit of tension, headache, whatever it might be. And on the exhale, we'll allow those areas to relax, remembering that we let go of any expectations we may have placed on ourselves, our bodies, or our practice. Our yoga is about acceptance and being content with who, what, and where we are in this moment. Continue to maintain this posture. Now we'll start to spread our awareness to the breath. So our breath is our guide throughout our yoga practice, and it is a bridge between the mind and the body. So we'll begin by simply observing and watching the body breathe in, and observe and watch the body breathe out. Breathing as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. Notice any subtle natural movement of the body with the breath, any gentle sounds the breath might be making. And we might begin to notice that on our inhales, our body naturally expands as we breathe in some fresh air and energy. And on our exhales, the body naturally releases and contracts as we let go of stale old air and energy. So I want us to practice a few rounds of what is called belly breathing or diaphragmic breathing here. This will help deepen our breath so we're bringing in more fresh oxygen for our body. So start to concentrate a little bit more around the belly and the abdomen. Continue to breathe at a comfortable pace for your body, in and out through the nose. And on our next inhale, relax the belly completely and allow it to expand like a balloon. And on our exhale, very gently contract the abdominal muscles, pulling the belly back into the body. On the inhale, we relax the belly, we allow it to expand, filling ourselves up. Exhale, gentle contraction, drawing the navel back in towards the spine. So on the inhale, as that abdomen expands, it allows our diaphragm to drop down, pulling that breath deep into our lungs. And on the exhale, when we draw the belly back in, it pushes the diaphragm up, helping again to expel that old air out of the body. And let's all take one more cycle of breath and allow this breath to be your biggest breath of your day yet. So on our next inhale, we'll start filling ourselves up and expand and fill from the bottom into the chest, the rib cage, all the way up to the brim and the throat, breathing in as much fresh air as we possibly can. And the exhale is just as important, so we'll start to slowly exhale and empty the body from the top to the bottom. Soften the throat, soften the chest. Again, gently contract the belly, squeezing all that air out. And then we'll just gently let the breath wander away wherever it wants to go, letting go of trying to control and follow the breath for a moment. Start to feel the physical body again in your nice tall posture here up to the crown of the head. And then very gently, just start to flutter the eyelids open, slowly bringing our awareness back to the space around us. So those of us that are in a cross-legged position, we'll take a quick break, stretch our legs out, and then I want you to try to switch the cross by placing the opposite foot in front. So we'll just float our knees up, give your legs a little stretch out, If you're seated in the chair, just stretch one foot forward at a time. You can float the foot up from the floor. And then we'll come back to our easy cross, try to place the opposite foot in front, and continue to sit up nice and tall. And we're gonna do a little bit of movement here for the upper half of the body to help release tension and tightness around the neck and shoulders. So simply reach your arms out beside you with the palms up. Let's all take a nice big breath in and float those arms all the way up to the ceiling. Turn those palms back out and exhale, float the arms back down beside you. Let's do that one more time, just a nice centering breath. Inhale, reach and extend, fingertips reach to the ceiling. Turn those palms out, exhale, float the fingertips back towards the floor. So if you're seated in a chair, you'll just let your arms hang beside you. Seated triangle pose. On the inhale, let's float our right arm up beside the ear. You'll lean over to your left, stretching out that whole right side. Keep both sit bones equally rooted, and do draw in a little bit through the low belly to protect your back. We'll flow in this pose tonight. So on the inhale, we float the arms back up. Exhale, you'll take it over to your other side, moving in this lateral plane, lateral extension to stretch the side body. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, it'll lean to your left. Let the neck stay long, a natural extension of the spine. Inhale, reach up. And one more time, nice big exhale, lean it over, great pose to stretch out the waist, the rib cage, and the shoulder. This inhale will bring both arms up towards the ceiling. Bring your palms to touch, and exhale, lower your hands in front of the heart. So just one more pose here in our seat, our seated twist. We'll take our right fingertips and float them behind us. If you're in a chair, you can just reach your arm around towards the back of the chair or over the back of the chair. We'll turn our left palm up to the ceiling and then try to float the back of your left hand towards your opposite knee. If it doesn't go around the knee, that's okay too. I want you to keep the length up through your spine. So inhale, sit up nice and tall. On our exhale, we'll start rotating and twisting to our right. So gently through the shoulders, let your head and neck follow, so you'll peek behind your right shoulder. And I want us to stretch our eyes out in this twist as well. So you'll open your eyes as wide as possible and look to that furthest point behind you without strain. And just let the breath continue to flow naturally in and out through the body. Give me one more big breath in. And on the exhale, we'll release. So you'll unwind the head, the shoulders, and the arms back to center. Inhale, both arms back up. Bring the palms to touch, and exhale, hands to heart. So other side, left fingertips can float behind you or arm over the back of the chair. Turn your right palm up to the ceiling, and then slide the back of that hand over the opposite knee. Keep your shoulders and chin parallel to the floor. Inhale to sit up tall. The exhale starts to rotate and twist the body, the shoulders, the neck, the head. And then give your eyes a nice big stretch. We've been looking at our little screens a lot lately, so open them really wide, peek behind you, wring everything out, like taking a washcloth and wringing it out. So twists are really beneficial for our internal organs and our digestive system here. Big breath in. And again, on the exhale, we'll unwind. So you'll turn the head forward, the shoulders, the body, and the arms. And one more time. Inhale, let's reach it up. Bring those palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So now we're going to make a transition. So those of us on the ground, you'll give your legs a quick little stretch out. And we're going to move into what's called tabletop pose. If you're in a chair, you'll just stay right where you are, and I'll show you the modifications in a moment. So you'll have to organize yourself in your space. Tabletop pose, we stack our joints, so you'll spread your fingers nice and wide. Your hands are as broad as your shoulders, and your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. And then my thigh bones are perpendicular to the floor. You can always place a blanket or something underneath the knees. Little bit of space between your knees and your feet so they're hips width apart. And then let your head float in line with your spine. So from here, we'll give our legs a quick little stretch out from our seated pose. So you'll keep your hips and low back level. Just stretch your right foot back behind you, ball the foot to the floor, and you'll press your heel back to intensify that stretch up the back of the leg. Exhale, bring the right knee down, and then inhale, do your left side. So again, if you're up in the chair, just give your legs a nice stretch out straight forward. So I'll lift one foot up, press the heel forward, and then bring it down. Go ahead and do one more big stretch on each side. So you'll bring the left knee down, you'll stretch your right leg out again, and you can shift your weight back to that heel as much as you want, opening up the back of the knee, and then let's stretch our left leg one more time. The whole time you're keeping your hips nice and level and that spine in a neutral position. So back to our neutral spine, both knees to the ground. We'll do a little bit of balance and strengthening here. So re-extend your right foot back behind you. Let me walk myself a bit more forward. But this time, use your muscles along the right side to hover your right foot parallel to the floor. So I'm floating that leg up, the foot is actively flexed. You can keep both hands on the ground here, or those of you that want to add the balance, reach your left arm straight forward from your shoulder. That's called spinal integration. So your right leg is floating parallel to the floor, and I'm also adding the left arm. So if you feel a little wobbly, that's totally normal. Keep breathing. If you're in the chair, same concept. You'll try to lift your right leg up and extend your left arm up. And when you work opposite sides of the body, it's also good for the brain. Let's all take one more big breath in. On the exhale, bring the foot or the knee and the hand back down. You should be back in your tabletop. So other side, a little bit of core. Give your left foot a stretch back straight from the hip. And then use your muscles to float the left leg up parallel to the floor. The foot is actively flexing, toes pointing towards the ground if you're on the floor. Now you can keep both hands equally weighted. If you want the extra challenge, reach your right arm straight forward from the shoulder, palm in, thumb up. And we're still breathing. Keep that breath flowing nice and evenly in and out through the nose. Give me one more big breath in. Exhale back to our tabletop. So we'll move through a couple cat-cows. I know if you're building up wrist strength, sometimes your wrist can get a little tender there. So let me show you a couple options in your hands. One is to round through the fingertips and drive your fingertips to the floor, or make two strong fists and place your knuckles to the floor, and that helps decompress the wrists when your joints are stacked. So cat-cows, on the inhale, relax the belly, lifting up through the tail and the crown of the head into a gentle back bend. The exhale, you draw the belly up, scoop your tailbone under, and take your gaze towards your belly button, rounding your back up to the ceiling. Inhale, gentle back bend, great to counter all the sitting that we do. The exhale, scoop, tuck, and round, stretching out the muscles of the back. So again, you'll keep going at your pace. Let your breath be the guide. Chair, people, fingertips to your knees. You're doing the same movement here. On the inhale, I'm lifting the chest, arching my back, gazing upwards. As I exhale, I draw my belly in and I tuck and round my back. And I stretch out the back of my heart between the shoulder blades. We hold a lot of tension in that space. Let's all flow through one more. And then we'll come back to our nice neutral spine. The next pose we'll move into is called child's pose. This pose is really beneficial and can be very restorative. If you're seated in the chair, just open your knees wider than your hips, place your elbows on your thighs, and you can relax the head down towards your hands and just rest there. Those of us down on the ground, wide-knee child's pose is a great option. So we open our knees wider than our hips. We flatten out the tops of the feet, touching the toes behind us. And then I sink my hips down to my heels. Fingers stay nice and wide. And I walk my hands forward and wider than my shoulders. And then I melt the belly, the heart, and the head all the way down to the ground. And this is a really nice way to release tension in the low back, to stretch out those hips, and also just let the mind come back down to the earth and feel grounded and settled. So child's pose is really beneficial for stress, anxiety, for tension headaches, or headaches in general. It is also said to help promote healthy, sound sleep. So this is a nice pose to do in the evenings as well. For some of us, that might be a little bit much compression for the knees if you're on the floor. So if you did grab a pillow, you're welcome to place that pillow behind the knees and sit back on your prop. Or simply keep your hips more elevated and rest down on your forearms. And with those hands nice and wide, you're stretching up the shoulders, but if the head doesn't easily touch the ground, place your forearms under your forehead, or again, another pillow or some sort of prop so the head can be grounded and rested. And let's all take one more big breath in our child's pose and really let that exhale, just let the whole weight of the body sink towards the ground, letting go of any tension or tightness. The next inhale will float the head up and the body back up. So chair people again, you'll be seated up into an upright position. The rest of us will come back into all fours. So you'll bring your knees back into alignment, stack your joints. From here, walk your hands 1 hand's distance forward on your mat, so your arms more at 45. Tuck your toes under. We're gonna go into a gentle inversion, downward facing dog. So you wanna round that low belly in. Press the earth away from you, floating your hips up, back, and down. I'll show a modification for some of you here in just a second. Those of you that are in down dog on the floor, feel free to pedal 1 heel at a time to the ground as you bend the opposite knee. Really wonderful stretch for the whole backs of the legs. Again, if we find ourselves sitting a lot, this is a wonderful pose. It is an inversion, so we do need to be mindful of any blood pressure or heart conditions. At any time, you can drop back down to tabletop or child's pose. If you don't want to be in that much of an inversion and you have the chair and it's not on a slippery surface, your chair needs to be secure. Place the hands on the seat of the chair, step your feet back here, and you're still drawing your hips back and creating a lot of length through the back here. Big shoulder stretch. Another option is to place your hands on a wall, drive the sit bones back, and give yourself a nice big stretch and decompression of your spine there. So down dog, roll your shoulders away from your ears, keep the fingers spread out nice and wide, let your neck be long and let that head float just between those upper arm bones. This pose is good for our circulation. It gets that blood flow towards the brain so it can help improve our energy levels as well. And we'll try to take 1 more breath in whatever variation we're in. Let the heels sink towards the ground regardless if they touch or not, it doesn't matter. And if you do happen to have a little bit more tension through the low back, just bend your knees a little bit more. Next inhale, let's look forward and you'll baby step your feet to your hands and your hands to your feet. And we'll pause just for a moment in a forward fold. So if you want to stay upside down in your inversion, straighten the legs and just dangle your arms, wiggle out your wrists, loosen up the head and the neck. To modify, you don't have to be all the way upside down. We can bend our knees deeply and just place the weight of our hands on our thighs or our elbows. And then you can kind of loosey-goosey 1 arm at a time. And again, if you have the chair, you can come to the back of the chair and rest your forearms on the back of the chair and just bow forward there. So let that blood flow, let the weight of the neck and the shoulders melt away, the weight of the world melts off the body. Now we do have to be mindful of the low blood pressure they might be experiencing from fasting, so I want us to come up nice and slow. Place your hands on your thighs with the fingers turned in. Do bend the knees just slightly so your legs are nice and strong. Tuck the chin, and on the inhale, we're gonna slowly round up 1 vertebra at a time. So we're articulating the spine, and you gotta inhale, 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 inhale. We gotta get that oxygen to our brain. Now the head should be the last thing to come up. Roll your shoulders up, and as you exhale, roll them back and down. If you get really lightheaded, sit down on the ground. Better to be closer to the floor if you feel a little dizzy, okay? So now we're in mountain pose. Your feet should be parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, knees pointing towards those toes. Nice strong legs. Arms extend away from the shoulders, fingertips reaching away at a slight angle here. No tension in the face, the throat. Let the head just be nice and light on top of those shoulders. We're lengthening that lower back towards the ground, pulling front body towards the back body. Mountain pose. Turn your palms out. Inhale, reach out to the sides of the room and all the way back overhead into extended mountain. Bring your palms to touch and exhale, lower your hands back down in front of the heart. So we are going to do a little balancing work. Balancing is so great for our brain, for our emotional well-being. It can have a very calming, fun effect on our body. So for our kids that might be joining us tonight, we love our balancing poses. This is called palm tree pose. So on our inhale, we'll re-extend our arms up to the ceiling, but this time I want you to try to float your heels up. So you're reaching up on your tippy toes. Bring your palms together, and as you exhale, you lower your heels and your hands back down to the heart. We'll do this several times. So on the inhale, draw a big circle. See how tall you can get up on those tippy toes. And on the exhale, you slowly lower down. Let's do 2 more. You're always welcome to use a wall, or again, I can have my hands on the back of a chair and be inhaling, lifting my heels up, and then exhaling, lowering down. So I have a little bit more stability. And we'll all do 1 more. Give me a big breath in. See how tall you can get. Reach, reach, reach. Strengthen those ankles and those feet. Exhale, lower yourself down. So this next balancing pose is called star pose. So open your feet just slightly wider than your hips. Hands can stay in front of the heart center. We are leaning into our right side. So now my right side is going to get nice and strong. Left side should get a little lighter. And just start to try to lift and lower the toes. Option to use a wall or a chair to help with your balance. So this is a fun one as well. We're going to try to now hover the left foot from the floor. Relax your arms down beside you and see how light you can get. Almost like you're trying to balance on a tightrope here. And if we gently fall out of it, no big deal. If we want a little bit more, spread your fingers and toes, and on the inhale, reach your arms up to a V. And now I'm using the muscles to lift my leg up a little higher. So this is where the shining star comes into place. You gotta get as big and shiny and bright as a big bright star up in the sky. And we're still breathing, so don't forget to breathe. Give me a big breath in. On the exhale, see how softly you can land back into mountain pose. Now try to keep your focus and concentration. Inhale, reach your arms up. Bring your palms to touch. Exhale, hands back to heart. Lean to your left side. Left side gets really strong. Anchor it to the ground. Your right side starts to get a little lighter. Try and lift and lower your toes. Now see if you can hover the foot from the floor. Relax your arms and just see how light you can feel here. We're putting a lot of effort, but we also just want to feel a little loosey-goosey. In yoga, we really focus our eyes on one spot to help with our balance. And our balancing postures, the research that's been done recently, they say it's amazing for our concentration, our memory, just as good of exercise to do like you do your crossword puzzles and Sudokus. A little bit more, spread your fingers and toes, grow big and bright like you're a bright shining star up in the sky. Try to lift the leg maybe a little higher, stay connected to your core, notice your breath. Give me 1 more big breath in. And again, as softly as you can, let's exhale. Keep your focus. Right back to mountain pose. Eyes steady. Inhale, reach those arms up. Bring your palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So 1 more balance pose, because I love balancing poses. And sometimes everything else around us feels off balance. We can still create that inner balance. This time, bring the insides of the feet and legs as close together as possible. So this is called tree pose. If you've not done much yoga before, you probably still know this pose. We'll float our right heel from the floor. At the hip, try to turn your knee out to the side. Now I'm going to give you lots of options. If you already have a favorite tree you like to be, feel free to go into whatever tree you want. Keep the toes down for more stability. Or softly float the sole of the foot to the inner ankle or calf. Some people like to reach down for the foot and try to place it up into the inner thigh. That's fine. Do not push your foot into your standing knee, so it's either below or above. And then relax your shoulders, relax the face, smile a little bit. If you want to grow some branches on your tree tonight, those arms can float back up. You might have a breeze naturally blowing you around in your tree pose, Or we can actually create some purposeful movement to challenge our balance. Literally trying to throw ourselves off balance. And you might, again, feel that shaking. That's good. All those muscles are waking up to help support you. Give me one more big breath in, those arms reaching upwards. Exhale, palms touch, hands to heart. Now just try, turn your right knee forward. Try to lift the thigh up and stretch the foot straight forward. A lot of intensity here. Exhale, bring it down. Keep your focus. Standing stillness. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come back to your center, steady your gaze. Left heel lifts, at the hip, open the knee. Ideally, this foot will go into the same position you just did on your first side, if you can remember where you were. If it doesn't happen, don't force or push it. Just notice how you feel in the pose. Add some branches on your tree tonight if you want, reaching them, growing them up towards the ceiling. Again, we might already have a breeze throwing us around, or we can be a little bit more playful here. Just joyfully move around in the pose, see what happens. It's okay if our tree falls, we just come back to it. Ooh. One more big breath in, reach everything up to the ceiling if your arms are up. Exhale, palms touch, hands to heart. Try to point the knee forward, lifting the thigh up, reaching the foot out, and then lowering it back down. Pause for a moment. Just notice how you feel. Notice the breath. And then exhale. Okay, so we're going to transition down to the ground at this point. I'm going to take us through downward facing dog to get there. So if that movement doesn't work for you, you can just sit down on the ground and meet us there. Otherwise, we'll come back towards the front of our yoga mat or wherever we were standing in our mountain pose. Feet parallel, stand nice and tall and strong, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Another big breath in to reach your arms out and up, extended mountain. Very gentle back bend, gazing upwards. Exhale, micro bend your knees, hinge from your hips, and take a big swan dive back to your forward fold. So some of us, again, might be pausing halfway. That's as far as you need to go. Or we can drop back down and get a little loosey-goosey here in the head, the neck, the arms, little sway of the shoulders. And then from here, we're gonna find our hands, step back, 1 foot at a time to downward facing dog. Just for a breath, get another gentle inversion here. Really healthy for the brain, you get that blood flow, and it stretches out the whole back of the body. Pedal your heels if you like, 1 heel at a time. Inhale, let's lift those heels up nice and high, stretch out your toes. On the exhale, we're gonna drop back down to child's pose. This time, maybe try to keep your knees together. Flatten out the tops of the feet, sit the hips to the heels, slide your hands all the way back to your feet, palms up, and then bow the head back down to the ground. And then you just let the weight of the shoulders drop towards the ground. So you're in this bowing position, stretching out the back again. Bring the hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin, and on our inhale, we'll slowly round up, vertebra by vertebra. If you can sit back on the heels, you'll sit over to either hip and then bring your feet forward. But this is where we're all gonna end up anyway, is in a seated posture on the ground. We'll do one more twist here. So again, twisting to help stimulate our digestion, our metabolism, and our digestive system can get a little slow during our fasting. So the twisting will help keep everything moving and working nicely. So you wanna, again, find your sit bones here. If it's hard to straighten your legs out to the ground, just bend up your knees. You can even gently hold behind your thighs. We want our spine nice and tall. From there, step your right foot in, and then try to straighten the left leg out. See where it goes. And hold on to your right shin bone. This is my anchor. It's helping me to sit up nice and tall. The right hand will float behind you or your fingertips. Wrap your left arm around your right shin bone. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. And on the exhale, again, rotate and twist to your right. So I'm rotating through the shoulders, the neck, the head, and the eyes. And I'm going to try to peek behind my right shoulder. I'm hugging that right knee into my body to help sit up tall. And my left leg is just as active. Foot is flexed. Big breath in. Exhale, we'll release. So relax the head back forward. Unwind the body to face straight back forward to the legs. We'll switch legs. So you can step your left foot in and stretch your right leg out. Hold on to that shin bone to help lift up through the spine. Take your left hand behind you, off behind the hip, onto those fingertips. Try not to lean back, but instead lift up through the crown. Hug your knee with your right arm. And then as you exhale, start that twisting and rotating through the shoulders, the head, and the neck. And again, those eyes can try to peek behind your left shoulder. And continue to squeeze your right knee in towards the body, bringing everything out here. Give me a nice big breath in. And on our exhale, we'll unwind. Bring the head back, the shoulders, and the body back. So from here, you can bend both knees up and drop them over to one side. And it's time to come onto our back. So we'll want to find a space here to lie down. You can use your hands to walk yourself down and then just roll onto your back. If the head falls back quite a bit, that's where I want you to place a folded towel or a pillow underneath the back of the head so it has some support. Once you're comfortable lying down on the ground, loosen your clothing up. If you happen to have a ponytail back there, we'll want to move our ponytails out of the way so the back of the head is nice and grounded and even. So we'll take just a couple more poses here on our back and then go into our relaxation. So we'll walk our feet in towards the body. And then draw your knees up into the body. And just rock side to side, giving the muscles of the back a little massage here. Another gentle inversion. Hold behind your thighs and try to stretch your legs up towards the ceiling. This is called waterfall pose, and it allows all that blood flow to move down back into those internal organs or vital organs around the abdomen and towards the head. And you're holding onto your thighs for support. Again, you can point and flex your feet a couple times. This pose takes pressure off the joints of the legs, so it counters all the sitting that we do. And this pose is also sometimes called legs up the wall pose. So if you're near a wall, like in your bedroom, you can practice this pose in the evenings. You just scooch towards the wall, slide your legs up the wall so the wall is supporting the legs. And this is another very beneficial pose. It can help with insomnia, reduce stress and tension levels. So just give me one more big breath in. And then the next exhale, one more time. Hug your knees in. Wrap your hands across your shin bones and float the head up, trying to draw your nose up towards your knees. And then relax the head down and the feet to the ground. So this is a new pose. We didn't do this one last week. That's another important one. It's called wind relieving pose, and it's specifically designed to massage the ascending colon and descending colon. So from here, hug your right knee back into the body. Try to interweave your hands on the right shin bone. If that's too much pressure on the knee, hold behind the knee. And then extend your left heel forward to the front of your mat. So your left leg is straight to the ground. And as you exhale, gently pull your right knee towards your right armpit. So we are purposely compressing the right belly and our ascending colon. The head is relaxed and the shoulders are relaxed. And this is a big stretch for the hips as well. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, release the right foot to the floor, slide it all the way out to meet the left. Step your left foot in, hug just the left knee in, taking a hold of the shin or behind the knee. As you exhale, draw the left knee towards the left armpit. Purposeful compression along the left hand abdominal wall here. Shoulders and elbows relaxing down to the ground. Just using the strength of your hands to get that stretch, and it's also a nice stretch for the hips. Big breath in. This exhale, we drop the foot down, slide the foot out to meet the left. This inhale, float your arms all the way overhead. Long body stretch. I'm stretching my whole body out as long as I can. Flex your feet, pull your toes to your shin bones. Spread your fingers and spread your toes. The low back can gently arch. You'll feel that stretch out your rib cage and the chest. Big breath in. This next exhale, you'll float your arms down. One more time. We'll walk our feet in, hug those knees in. So last pose before relaxation, happy baby pose. Try to take a hold of your toes or your feet. Turn the soles of the feet up to the ceiling. And this time I'm allowing both knees to drop out nice and wide. So again, to those outer armpits. Keep your low back grounded, and it feels quite nice sometimes just to rock side to side here in our happy baby pose. Nice stretch for the hips. You can also try to stretch out one leg at a time. So I'm taking one foot and trying to reach it out maybe 45 degrees to stretch up those inner thighs. And you can be a little playful with this as well. There's not really any right or wrong. You're just moving your body around and move out any tension and tightness. And those of you that want, you can try to open both legs nice and wide. This is called wide angle pose. Even move your hands to the insides, roll your ankles a few times. That's a nice big stretch again for those inner thigh muscles. Give me a big breath in. Exhale, bring those legs back up to waterfall pose. Bend the knees. Reach your arms around your shin bones, maybe taking a hold of your opposite elbows. Float your nose to your knees. And we're going to give our body a big squeeze here. And just appreciating ourselves, our bodies, for our practice this evening. And mentally telling ourselves and our bodies how much we love and appreciate them. Let's take a big breath in. And on our next exhale, we get to let it go. So if you're comfortable where you are, you can just let your body flop to the floor. You can let your arms roll open beside the body. If you have low back tension, keep your knees bent up to the ceiling. The feet are wide, toes turned in slightly, and the knees fall together. If you want a hip opener for relaxation, bring the soles of the feet to touch and let your knees fall open in bound angle pose. Or simply stretch your legs out flat to the floor. Now look, it can feel quite nice to take those pillows and slide them underneath the legs as well. And again, a pillow for behind the head. If you grabbed a washcloth or you have a scarf or something nearby, we'll place our little eye coverings on top of the eyes. And I'll give us all just a moment here to get comfortable. So I do really want you to be as comfortable as possible. Add any goodies for extra comfort. Loosen things up, move things around, rock out the head, finding the very back center of the skull. So I will verbally guide us through some relaxation. I'll give us a few moments of peace and quiet just to relax. And then I'll use my singing bowl tonight and bring us out of our final relaxation and finish class together. So once you're in your comfortable space, we'll close the eyes. Once again, turning our attention inward, letting go of all the outside distractions around us. Draw the shoulders under the body. The palms turn up towards the ceiling. The fingertips curl up naturally. Feel symmetry from side to side. So bringing the legs equally away from each other, allowing the feet to fall open if you're in Shavasana or whatever position you're choosing. Smooth the skin of the forehead, the brow. Relax all those little muscles around the eyes. Poof your cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth, the tongue, and the jaw. And then release the tongue and lower jaw to gravity as you relax the throat. Feel the weight of the arms sink into the ground. Relax the shoulders, the elbows, the backs of the hands. Feel an opening across the front of the chest and the heart. Feel an opening at the back of the heart between the shoulder blades. Relax the belly completely. All of the abdominal muscles, all of the internal organs. Notice a gentle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Relax those larger muscles around the hips and the hip sockets, the glutes. And just like water, let that relaxation flow all the way down the legs, behind the knees, into the ankles, the feet, the toes. Relax the soles of the feet. Relaxing the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath is easy, quiet, and calm. If the mind wanders, it becomes distracted. With love and compassion, bring it back to the peaceful breath. Giving ourselves just one more moment to let go, to feel a sense of surrender, and simply be and breathe. We'll gently come back to our breath and start to breathe life back into the body here. Give your toes a little wiggle. Wiggle the fingertips, rock the head side to side. Roll your ankles and your wrists. The inhale, we'll re-extend our arms overhead into our nice long body stretch. You can straighten out the legs and stretch your body side to side, front to back. Create as much space in the body as you can, taking a big breath in. On the exhale, we'll float those arms down, walk the feet in. And one more time, draw your knees into the body to massage the back side to side. So traditionally, we roll and pause on our right-hand side. You can roll to whatever side is most comfortable. Right arm falls beside the head. We roll all the way over to the right in sleeping baby pose. The head cradles the arm. The left hand falls to the floor in front of the heart. And we just pause for a moment. And then keep the eyes closed or soft. Press down into the ground. And we will bring our bodies back up, where we will revisit any comfortable seated posture and take just a couple more nice deep breaths together tonight. So just be mindful of your space and surroundings. Sit up nice and tall through the crown of the head. We'll extend those arms out from beside the body, palms up. Let's take another big breath in through the nose, reach those arms all the way up to the ceiling, and let's gather up everything we need for the rest of our evening. Turn those palms out. Exhale, float your fingertips all the way back down to the floor, and letting go of all that other junk we don't need this evening. And one more big breath together. Inhale, arms up. This time, bring the palms to touch. Lower the hands to the front of the heart. Humbly bowing our head down towards the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to practice yoga together today. And I thank each and every one of you so much for allowing me to share yoga with you and to be a part of your experience through Ramadan. And if you have any questions, comments, feedback for me, please share. We can do that right now if you like, or you can send us a message or a chat. And thank you again to Rahit and Shabana for making this happen as well. Good job, you guys.